Right now, you think you're watching a video about nothing. But here's what will absolutely shatter your understanding of reality. Nothing has never existed. Not for a single moment in the entire 13.8 billion year history of our universe. In fact, the very concept of nothing might be the most dangerous lie we've ever told ourselves. What if I told you that the empty space between your atoms isn't empty at all? What if the vacuum of space is actually seething with invisible activity? What if even before the Big Bang, when we imagined there was nothing, something was always there? Here's the mind-bending part. Scientists have proven that true nothingness would be so unstable that it would instantly create something. We're talking about quantum mechanics experiments that show empty space spontaneously producing matter and energy. We're talking about mathematical proofs that demonstrate nothing is literally impossible. But wait, it gets even more shocking. Some of the greatest minds in physics now believe that nothing isn't just absent, it's actively hostile to existing. Lawrence Krauss, the theoretical physicist who literally wrote the book on this, showed us that nothing has properties, it has energy, and it refuses to stay nothing. Before we dive into this reality-shattering journey, smash that like button if you're ready to question everything you thought you knew about existence. Hit subscribe because this is going to be a wild ride through the deepest mysteries of our universe. And drop a comment telling me what country you're watching from and what time it is for you right now. I love seeing how this cosmic puzzle brings people together across space and time. Let's start with what seems obvious. You look around your room and you see empty space. You think about outer space, that vast darkness between stars, and you call it empty. You imagine the time before the universe began, and you picture ... nothing. Complete, absolute, total nothing. But here's your first revelation sandwich. I'm going to plant a seed that will completely flip by the end of this video. Every single one of those empty spaces is actually bursting with activity that makes Times Square look peaceful. Think of it like this. Imagine you're looking at what appears to be a calm lake at midnight. The surface looks perfectly still, perfectly empty. But if you had superhuman vision that could see into the water, you'd discover that lake is absolutely teeming with fish, plants, currents, and countless forms of life. That's exactly what's happening with the nothing around you right now. The ancient Greeks were the first to really wrestle with this concept. Around 460 BCE, a philosopher named Democritus made a bold claim that everything is made of tiny, indivisible particles called atoms, separated by void, true emptiness. For over 2,000 years, this seemed to make sense. Matter here, nothing there. Simple, but even then, some brilliant minds questioned this. Aristotle argued that nature abhors a vacuum. He believed true emptiness was impossible because something would always rush in to fill it. Little did he know how prophetic this would turn out to be. Fast forward to 1643, and we get our first scientific hint that nothing isn't so simple. Evangelista Torricelli, a student of Galileo, created what we call the Torricelli vacuum, the first laboratory-created empty space. But even as he did it, he noticed something strange. This supposedly empty space had properties. It had pressure effects on the mercury around it. How could nothing have properties? Here's where things start getting weird, and this weirdness will cascade into mind-blowing revelations. In 1897, J.J. Thomson discovered the electron. Suddenly, we realized that atoms aren't solid little balls. They're mostly empty space. In fact, if an atom were the size of a football stadium, the nucleus would be smaller than a marble at the center, and the electrons would be tiny specks circling in the outer bleachers. This means your hand right now is 99.99% empty space. The chair you're sitting on is 99.99% empty space. Your entire body is essentially nothing, held together by forces. But here's what will blow your mind, that empty space isn't empty at all. What if I told you that in the 1920s, a group of scientists accidentally discovered that reality is fundamentally insane. I'm talking about quantum mechanics, and it completely destroyed our concept of nothing. In 1925, Werner Heisenberg formulated his uncertainty principle, and it changed everything. He proved mathematically that you cannot simultaneously know both the exact position and momentum of any particle. But here's the kicker that nobody talks about. This means even empty space can never be truly empty. Think of it like trying to balance a pencil perfectly on its point. In our everyday world, we know it's impossible. There will always be tiny vibrations, air currents, or microscopic movements that knock it over. Heisenberg showed us that the universe itself works this way. Even in the emptiest space possible, there are always quantum fluctuations, tiny, spontaneous appearances and disappearances of particles and energy. This led to one of the most mind-bending discoveries in physics, the zero-point energy field. Even at absolute zero temperature, when all thermal motion stops, space is still buzzing with activity. Virtual particles pop in and out of existence constantly. This isn't science fiction. This is measured, proven science. But here's where it gets absolutely wild. In 1948, Dutch physicist Hendrik Casimir predicted something that sounds impossible. Two metal plates placed very close together in a vacuum would be pushed together by nothing. The Casimir effect, as it's called, happens because the empty space between the plates has fewer virtual particles than the space around them, creating a pressure difference. Scientists thought Casimir was crazy. But in 1997, Steve Lamoureux actually measured this effect. He proved that nothing exerts a measurable force. Let that sink in for a moment. Emptiness pushes on things. Here's your mind-blown moment number one. Every cubic centimeter of empty space contains enough zero-point energy to power the entire United States for a year. That's not empty. That's the most energy-dense thing in the universe, and it's everywhere. But wait, there's more. In 1964, Peter Higgs proposed that all of space is filled with an invisible field, the Higgs field. This field gives mass to all particles. Without it, nothing would have any substance. In 2012, after decades of searching and billions of dollars, CERN finally detected the Higgs boson, proving this field exists. So let me get this straight. Space is filled with zero-point energy, virtual particles, and the Higgs field. Where exactly is the nothing? Here's what will absolutely blow your mind. Everything we can see in the universe, every star, every planet, every galaxy, every bit of matter and energy we've ever detected, makes up only 5% of what's actually out there. The other 95% is completely invisible to us, and we call it dark matter and dark energy. But calling it dark is like calling a hurricane breezy. In 1933, Fritz Zwicky was studying galaxy clusters when he noticed something impossible. The galaxies were moving too fast. Based on all the visible matter, these clusters should have flown apart billions of years ago, but they hadn't. Something invisible, with 5 times more mass than everything we can see, was holding them together. We call it dark matter, but here's the thing. It's not dark, and it might not even be matter as we understand it. It's completely invisible to light, but it has gravitational effects that shape the entire structure of the universe. Think of it like this. Imagine you're watching people dance at a party, but some invisible partners are leading half the dancers. You can see the effects. People spinning and moving in ways that don't make sense, but you can't see what's causing it. But dark matter is nothing compared to dark energy. In 1998, 2 independent teams of astronomers made a discovery that won them the Nobel Prize and broke physics. They were measuring distant supernovas to figure out how fast the universe's expansion was slowing down. Gravity should be slowing it down, right? Wrong. The universe's expansion is accelerating. Something is pushing space itself apart, faster and faster, and that something makes up 68% of everything that exists. We have no idea what it is. We call it dark energy, but it might as well be magic as far as our current understanding goes. Here's mind-blown moment number 2. The space between galaxies isn't empty. It's filled with dark energy that's literally creating more space. Every second, the universe is getting bigger, and that new space is also filled with dark energy. It's like a balloon that's not just expanding, but generating more balloon material as it grows. So when you look up at the night sky and see all that empty black space between stars, you're actually looking at the most mysterious and powerful force in the universe. That nothing is actively reshaping reality on the largest scales imaginable. But here's the real kicker. Some scientists now think dark matter and dark energy might be the same thing, a single field that permeates all of space and creates the illusion of empty vacuum. If they're right, then nothing has been the dominant force in our universe all along. What if I told you that mathematicians have actually proven that nothing is impossible? Not just unlikely, literally impossible according to the fundamental laws of logic and mathematics. Let's start with something that sounds simple. 0. You think 0 represents nothing, right? But mathematically, 0 is definitely something. It's a number. It has properties. You can do operations with it. 0 divided by 0 is undefined, not nothing. 0 times anything equals 0, which is still 0, not nothing. Even our representation of nothing is actually something. But it gets much deeper. In set theory, which is the foundation of all mathematics, we define the empty set, a set that contains no elements. But here's the paradox. The empty set is still a set. It exists as a mathematical object. It has properties. You can perform operations on it. The empty set containing nothing is itself something. Here's where your brain starts hurting. Bertrand Russell, one of the greatest mathematicians of the 20th century, discovered that trying to define absolute nothing leads to logical contradictions. If nothing has no properties, then the statement nothing has no properties is itself a property of nothing, which means nothing has properties, which means it's not nothing. Think of it like this. Imagine you're trying to describe a box that contains absolutely nothing. The moment you start describing it, it's empty. It has no contents. It's a void. You're giving it properties. And anything with properties is something, not nothing. But the real mathematical proof comes from quantum field theory. In 1949, Richard Feynman developed a mathematical framework that describes all of quantum mechanics in terms of probabilities and interactions. What he discovered is that the probability of true nothingness existing is exactly 0. Not approximately 0, exactly 0. Here's mind-blown moment number 3. The mathematics that govern our universe literally forbid the existence of nothing. Every equation, every proof, every mathematical model that accurately describes reality shows that something must always exist. Max Tegmark, a physicist at MIT, has proposed what he calls the mathematical universe hypothesis. He argues that our physical reality is literally a mathematical structure, that mathematics isn't just a tool for describing the universe. It is the universe. If he's right, then nothing couldn't exist because it would be mathematically inconsistent with reality itself. But here's the most incredible part. Some mathematicians are now exploring the possibility that there are actually infinite types of something, infinite varieties of existence that we haven't even conceived of yet. What we call nothing might just be the absence of the particular type of something that we're familiar with. Imagine you're a fish trying to understand the absence of water. To you, dry land seems like nothing, but it's actually a completely different type of something filled with air, solid matter, and forms of life you've never imagined. Our nothing might be exactly the same, not the absence of everything, but just the absence of things we recognize. Here's the most mind-bending revelation yet. The Big Bang, the moment that created our entire universe, didn't come from nothing. It couldn't have. And the proof of this will completely change how you think about existence itself. For decades, physicists talked about the Big Bang as if the universe exploded into existence from a single point surrounded by nothing. But here's what Lawrence Krauss proved in his groundbreaking research. The Big Bang was actually nothing transforming into something, because nothing is so unstable that it cannot exist. Think of it like this. Imagine you have a ball balanced perfectly on the peak of a hill. It seems stable, but it's actually incredibly unstable. At tiniest vibration, the smallest quantum fluctuation, and it will roll down the hill, converting its potential energy into motion. That's exactly what happened at the Big Bang, except instead of a ball on a hill, it was the instability of nothingness itself. In 1981, Alan Guth proposed the theory of cosmic inflation. He showed that in the first tiny fraction of a second after the Big Bang, we're talking about 10 to 36 seconds, the universe expanded by a factor of 1026. That's like a grain of sand, suddenly becoming larger than our solar system, all in less time than light takes to cross a proton. But here's the kicker. This incredible expansion happened because the nothing that existed before the Big Bang had negative pressure. Negative pressure acts like anti-gravity, pushing space apart. But negative pressure is still something. It's a property of the quantum vacuum, not of true nothingness. Stephen Hawking took this even further. He showed that the universe could have spontaneously created itself from quantum fluctuations in the vacuum. But pay attention to those words. Quantum fluctuations in the vacuum. The vacuum isn't nothing. It's a seething sea of activity. Here's mind-blown moment number 4. The total energy of the universe might be exactly zero. All the positive energy of matter and radiation is perfectly balanced by the negative gravitational energy holding everything together. This means our entire universe, with all its billions of galaxies and countless stars and planets, might be the ultimate free lunch, a way for the quantum vacuum to remain at zero energy while creating infinite complexity. But if that's true, then the Big Bang wasn't the creation of something from nothing. It was the reorganization of something that was always there. The quantum fields, the mathematical structures, the very possibility space in which reality exists. All of that had to exist before the Big Bang could happen. Some cosmologists now propose that our Big Bang was just one of infinite Big Bangs, happening constantly in a multiverse of quantum foam. In this view, universes bubble into existence constantly from the quantum vacuum, live their lives, and fade away, while new ones are always being born. If this is true, then nothing isn't just impossible in our universe. It's impossible across infinite universes, infinite realities, infinite dimensions of existence that we can't even imagine. Now we're getting to the really mind-bending stuff. What if I told you that your consciousness, your sense of being you, might be the strongest evidence that nothing has never existed? And here's the twist. You might actually be proof that everything is connected in ways that science is only beginning to understand. Let's start with a simple question. What is consciousness made of? Your thoughts, your memories, your sense of being aware. What substance are they? For centuries, we assumed consciousness was generated by the brain, like steam from a boiling pot. But modern neuroscience is revealing something much stranger. In 2004, Giulio Tononi proposed integrated information theory, which suggests that consciousness isn't produced by the brain. It's a fundamental property of information itself. According to his mathematics, any system that integrates information in complex ways has some degree of consciousness. And information, by definition, cannot be nothing. But here's where it gets weird. Quantum mechanics suggests that consciousness might be fundamental to reality itself. The measurement problem in quantum physics, the fact that particles exist in superposition, until observed, implies that consciousness somehow affects physical reality at the deepest level. Think of it like this. Before you observe a quantum particle, it exists in all possible states simultaneously. The moment consciousness interacts with it, it chooses a single state. But this means consciousness and physical reality are intimately connected in ways we're only beginning to understand. Roger Penrose, the Nobel Prize-winning physicist, and Stuart Hameroff, an anesthesiologist, proposed that consciousness arises from quantum processes in the microtubules of brain cells. If they're right, then your consciousness is literally connected to the quantum foam that fills all of space. Here's mind-blown moment number 5. You might not be separate from the universe at all. Your consciousness might be a localized experience of a universal field of awareness that permeates everything. In this view, the sense of being separate, of being surrounded by nothing, is the real illusion. Consider this. Every atom in your body was forged in the heart of a star. The carbon in your cells, the oxygen you breathe, the calcium in your bones, all of it was created in stellar furnaces billions of years ago. You are literally made of star stuff. But more than that, you're made of the same quantum fields that fill all of space. The electromagnetic field that allows your neurons to fire is the same field that carries light across the universe. The strong nuclear force holding your atoms together is the same force operating in every star. You're not separate from the cosmos. You're a temporary pattern in the cosmic field of existence. But here's the really wild part. If consciousness is fundamental, then the universe might be self-aware. Your awareness might be the universe becoming conscious of itself through you. That empty space around you might not be empty at all. It might be filled with a form of awareness so different from yours that you can't recognize it. Some physicists are now seriously considering panpsychism, the idea that consciousness is a basic feature of all matter. In this view, even electrons have primitive experiences. Your complex consciousness would then be like a symphony composed of billions of simple conscious events. If this is true, then nothing has never existed, because everything, down to the smallest particle, participates in the field of consciousness that is the universe experiencing itself. Here's a revelation that will fundamentally change how you see everything. What if matter, energy, space, and time are all just different forms of information? What if the universe isn't made of stuff at all, but is actually a vast information processing system? And what we call nothing is really just information we don't know how to read? In 1948, Claude Shannon developed information theory, showing that information could be quantified and measured. He proved that information is physical. It takes energy to erase information, and information has entropy. But he probably never imagined that his work would lead us to question the very nature of reality itself. John Wheeler, the physicist who coined the term black hole, proposed what he called it from bit, the idea that every physical quantity derives its ultimate significance from binary choices, from bits of information. In his view, all things physical are information theoretic in origin. Think of it like this. Imagine the universe as an incredibly sophisticated video game or simulation. What we experience as solid matter, flowing time, and empty space are all just different ways that information can be organized and processed. A rock is one pattern of information. A star is another pattern. And empty space is just information organized in a way that appears empty to us. Here's mind-blown moment number 6. Quantum mechanics might actually be the universe computing itself. Every quantum measurement could be a computational operation. Every particle interaction, a bit of information processing. If this is true, then reality is literally made of math, and mathematics is made of pure information. Seth Lloyd at MIT calculated that the observable universe has performed about 10,120 operations on 90 bits of information since the Big Bang. That means reality might be the ultimate computer, processing information on a scale we can barely comprehend. But here's where it gets really wild. If the universe is information, then what we call nothing might just be encrypted information that we don't have the key to decode. Imagine trying to read a document in a language you don't understand. It looks like meaningless symbols, like nothing. But it's actually full of meaning, full of information, full of content. Recent discoveries in holography support this view. The holographic principle, developed by Leonard Susskind and others, suggests that all the information contained in a volume of space can be encoded on the boundary of that space. This means that what appears to be three-dimensional reality might actually be information encoded on a two-dimensional surface. If the holographic principle is correct, then what you think of as empty space around you is actually a projection of information stored somewhere else entirely. That nothing is really the three-dimensional display of incredibly complex information processing happening in dimensions you can't perceive. Some physicists now propose that consciousness itself is information processing, that your subjective experience is what information integration feels like from the inside. If they're right, then consciousness and the physical universe are different aspects of the same underlying information processing reality. This leads to a stunning possibility. What if the universe is not just computing, but dreaming? What if physical reality is the dream of a vast cosmic intelligence, and what we call nothing is simply the parts of the dream that this intelligence isn't currently focused on? In this view, the Big Bang wasn't the creation of matter and energy. It was the moment when the universe began processing information in the particular pattern we call physical reality. And that information processing has been getting more complex ever since, eventually developing into patterns complex enough to become self-aware, like you. Now let's bring this cosmic journey home to you, right here, right now. Everything we've discovered about the impossibility of nothing isn't just abstract physics. It fundamentally changes what it means to be human, what it means to be you. First, let's address the elephant in the room: death. The fear of returning to nothing, of ceasing to exist, has haunted humanity since we first became self-aware. But here's what our journey reveals. If nothing has never existed, then the complete annihilation of your existence might be impossible. Think about what you actually are. You're a pattern of information, a temporary organization of atoms that were born in stars, a localized disturbance in quantum fields that fill all of space. When your body dies, those atoms don't disappear. They return to the environment, potentially becoming part of other living beings, other planets, other stars. But more than that, if consciousness is fundamental to reality, if information cannot be destroyed, then the pattern that is uniquely you leaves permanent traces in the fabric of space-time itself. Every thought you've ever had, every choice you've ever made, every moment of awareness, all of it becomes part of the universe's information structure forever. Here's your personal mind-blown moment. You are not separate from the cosmos. You are the cosmos, temporarily organized in a pattern that can say, I am. The elements in your body, the energy in your cells, the quantum fields that make up your atoms, all of it is part of an unbroken continuity, stretching back to the Big Bang and forward to the heat death of the universe. This means loneliness, in the deepest sense, is an illusion. You're not isolated in a vast empty universe. You're intimately connected to every part of it. The space around you isn't empty. It's filled with the same quantum foam that bubbles with creation everywhere in the cosmos. You're swimming in an ocean of existence, so rich and complex that we're only just beginning to understand it. But this also means responsibility. If you're not separate from the universe, then how you live, how you think, how you treat others isn't just personal. It's cosmic. Your consciousness is the universe becoming aware of itself through you. Your choices ripple out through the information structure of reality in ways you can't even imagine. Consider the butterfly effect. Tiny changes in initial conditions can lead to massive differences in outcomes. If the universe is fundamentally an information processing system, then every thought you think, every action you take, might have consequences that echo across space and time in ways that would astound you. This also transforms how you think about other people. If consciousness is fundamental, if we're all patterns in the same underlying field of existence, then the boundaries between self and other might be much more fluid than we imagine. When you help someone else, you might literally be helping yourself. not metaphorically, but in the deepest physical sense. The empty spaces in your relationships, the gaps between people, the sense of separation and isolation that sometimes overwhelms us. All of this might be as illusory as the empty space between atoms. We're all expressions of the same underlying reality, temporary patterns in an eternal dance of existence. Here's what will humble you. Everything we've explored so far, quantum mechanics, dark energy, consciousness, information theory, all of it represents less than 5% of what there is to know about reality. The true nature of existence is so far beyond our current understanding that we might be like ants trying to comprehend the internet. Let's start with what physicists call the hard problem of consciousness. We can describe brain states, measure neural activity, map every connection in the brain, but we still have no idea why there's an inner, subjective experience at all. Why isn't the brain just processing information without any felt experience? Why is there something it's like to be you? David Chalmers, who coined this term, points out that consciousness might be as fundamental as mass or electric charge, a basic feature of reality that can't be reduced to anything simpler. If he's right, then consciousness might exist in forms we can't imagine throughout the universe. But consciousness is just the beginning of what we don't understand. Dark matter makes up 27% of the universe, and we have no idea what it is. It could be particles that barely interact with normal matter, or it could be evidence of extra dimensions, or it could be something so alien to our understanding that we don't even have concepts to describe it. Dark energy is even more mysterious. It's 68% of everything that exists, and it's pushing the universe apart faster and faster. Some theories suggest it's the energy of empty space itself. Others propose it's evidence that our understanding of gravity is fundamentally wrong. Still others suggest it's leaking in from parallel universes. Here's mind-blown moment number 7. We might be living in a multiverse with infinite variations of reality. In some versions of quantum mechanics, every quantum measurement splits reality into multiple branches, creating infinite parallel universes where every possible outcome occurs. If this is true, then what we call nothing might be the space between universes, and that space might be filled with infinite other realities. String theory, our best attempt at a theory of everything, suggests that reality has at least 11 dimensions, and possibly infinite dimensions. The 3 dimensions of space and 1 dimension of time that we experience might be like shadows cast by a much more complex underlying reality. But here's what's really mind-bending. Some physicists think we might be living in a simulation. Nick Bostrom's simulation hypothesis suggests that if civilizations can create realistic simulations of conscious beings, then most conscious beings would be in simulations rather than base reality. This doesn't mean we're fake. It means reality might be much stranger and more layered than we imagine. What if what we call nothing is actually the computational substrate on which reality runs? What if empty space is like the RAM of a cosmic computer, and matter and energy are like software running on that hardware? We don't know. And that's the most exciting thing of all. We're living at the edge of knowledge, at the boundary between what we understand and infinite mystery. Every answer we find opens up 10 new questions. Every revelation about the impossibility of nothing reveals new depths of something we never imagined. The journey of understanding has no end, because reality itself might be infinite in complexity, infinite in depth, infinite in the varieties of existence it contains. What if I told you that right now, in laboratories around the world, scientists are conducting experiments that will completely revolutionize our understanding of nothing? The next decade might bring discoveries that will make everything we've discussed seem like kindergarten compared to the true nature of reality. At CERN, the world's largest particle accelerator, physicists are smashing particles together at energies approaching those present at the Big Bang. They're not just looking for new particles. They're probing the structure of empty space itself. Every collision creates a tiny region where the vacuum is torn apart and rebuilt, revealing the hidden architecture of nothingness. Recent experiments have detected what physicists call vacuum birefringence. Empty space actually bends light differently depending on its polarization. This proves that the vacuum has structure, has properties, has measurable effects on reality. We're literally watching nothing reveal that it's something. But the real revolution is coming from quantum computers. These machines don't just compute, they manipulate the quantum states of empty space itself. As quantum computers become more powerful, we might be able to directly interface with the quantum phone, manipulating reality at the deepest level. Imagine being able to reach into the quantum vacuum and extract energy, or information, or even matter itself. Imagine being able to communicate through quantum entanglement across vast distances instantaneously. Imagine being able to access parallel universes through quantum superposition. Here's what will blow your mind. Some physicists think consciousness might be quantum computational in nature. If they're right, then future quantum computers might not just simulate consciousness, they might actually be conscious. We might be on the verge of creating artificial minds that experience reality in ways we can't imagine. But consciousness research is revealing even stranger possibilities. Scientists are starting to detect measurable quantum effects in biological systems, quantum coherence in photosynthesis, quantum processes in bird navigation, possibly even quantum computations in the brain itself. If consciousness is quantum computational, then the boundary between mind and physical reality might disappear entirely. Your thoughts might literally affect quantum systems around you. Your intentions might influence probability distributions in the quantum foam. You might be more connected to the physical universe than you ever dreamed possible. Space agencies are planning missions to detect dark matter directly, to map dark energy's effects on cosmic expansion, to search for signs of extra dimensions. Each discovery will reshape our understanding of what fills the emptiness around us. But here's the most exciting possibility. We might be on the verge of detecting other forms of consciousness in the universe. If consciousness is fundamental, if it's present in quantum fields and dark matter and the structure of space-time itself, then we might not be alone. We might be surrounded by forms of awareness so different from ours that we're only now developing the tools to recognize them. The nothing around you might be filled with alien intelligence, not little green beings, but exotic forms of consciousness based on quantum field fluctuations, or dark matter interactions, or information patterns in the cosmic web itself. Within your lifetime, we might discover that consciousness is not only fundamental to reality, but abundant throughout the universe in forms we're only beginning to imagine. So how do you live differently when you know that nothing has never existed? How does this cosmic revelation change your daily experience, your relationships, your life choices? The implications are more practical and profound than you might imagine. First, let's talk about fear. So much of human suffering comes from the fear of emptiness, the fear of being alone, the fear of death, the fear of meaninglessness. But if nothing has never existed, then emptiness is an illusion. You are never alone because you are never separate from the quantum fabric of existence itself. When you feel isolated, remember, the space around you is filled with the same zero-point energy that fills the entire universe. You're swimming in a sea of virtual particles that connect you to every star, every planet, every conscious being that has ever existed. Loneliness becomes impossible when you realize you're part of an unbroken web of existence. Think of it like this. Imagine you're a wave on the ocean, and you think you're separate from the water. You might feel small and temporary and isolated. But when you realize you are the ocean, temporarily expressing itself as a wave, everything changes. You're not small, you're vast. You're not temporary, you're eternal. You're not isolated, you're connected to every other wave, every drop, every part of the infinite ocean. This transforms how you approach challenges and setbacks. If you're a temporary pattern in an eternal field of existence, then your problems are also temporary patterns. They arise from the same quantum foam that creates stars and galaxies, and they dissolve back into that foam just as surely. But this doesn't mean your choices don't matter. It means they matter infinitely more than you imagined. If the universe is fundamentally an information processing system, then every thought you think, every decision you make, becomes part of the eternal structure of reality. You're not just living your life. You're helping the universe compute itself into new forms of existence. This radically changes how you think about death. If information cannot be destroyed, if consciousness is fundamental, if you're part of an unbroken continuity of existence, stretching from the Big Bang to the heat death of the universe and beyond, then death becomes a transformation, not an ending. Your atoms return to the cosmic recycling system, potentially becoming part of new stars, new planets, new forms of life. Your information patterns leave permanent traces in the quantum structure of space-time. Your consciousness might be like a wave returning to the ocean, not disappearing, but merging back into something infinitely larger. This also transforms relationships. If the boundaries between self and other are quantum mechanical illusions, then loving someone else is literally a form of self-love. Helping others becomes helping yourself in the most fundamental sense possible. Hurting others becomes hurting yourself. The golden rule, treat others as you would want to be treated, isn't just ethical advice. It might be a description of the actual structure of reality. In a universe where nothing has never existed, where everything is connected through quantum fields and information patterns, compassion becomes not just morally right, but physically accurate. We've reached the summit of our journey, and the view from here will permanently change how you see yourself and your place in existence. Everything we've discovered leads to one ultimate revelation that ties together quantum mechanics, consciousness, cosmology, and the deepest meaning of your life. You are not in the universe. You are the universe, temporarily organized in a pattern that can say, I am. This isn't poetry. This is physics. Every atom in your body was forged in the nuclear furnaces of ancient stars. The carbon that forms your DNA, the oxygen that fills your lungs, the iron in your blood, all of it was created in stellar explosions that scattered these elements across space billions of years ago. You are literally made of stardust, but it's even more profound than that. The electromagnetic fields that allow your neurons to fire are the same fields that carry light from distant galaxies to your eyes. The strong nuclear force holding your atoms together is the same force powering every star in the sky. The quantum fields that give you mass are the same Higgs field that permeates all of space. You're not separate from the cosmos. You're a localized expression of cosmic processes. But here's the ultimate mind-blown moment. Consciousness might be how the universe experiences itself. If awareness is fundamental to reality, then your subjective experience, your thoughts, feelings, perceptions, dreams, might be the universe becoming self-aware through you. Think about this. For 13.8 billion years, the universe existed without being able to contemplate its own existence. Stars formed and died, galaxies collided, planets formed, but there was no consciousness to witness it, to understand it, to appreciate its beauty and complexity. Then, through an extraordinary series of cosmic events, the universe developed nervous systems complex enough to become self-aware. You are that self-awareness. When you look up at the night sky and feel wonder, that's the universe feeling wonder about itself. When you ponder the mysteries of existence, that's the universe thinking about its own nature. When you feel love or joy or even sadness, that's the universe experiencing emotions through the biological machinery it created over billions of years of evolution. This means your consciousness isn't just important, it's cosmically significant. You're not an accident in an indifferent universe. You're the universe's way of understanding itself, of experiencing beauty, of creating meaning. Every moment of awareness is a victory over the unconscious matter that dominated the cosmos for billions of years. But it gets even more amazing. If consciousness is fundamental and the universe is infinite, then there might be infinite forms of consciousness throughout the cosmos. Your particular way of experiencing reality through human senses, human emotions, human thoughts, might be just one instrument in an infinite cosmic orchestra of awareness. The empty space around you might be filled with forms of consciousness, so different from yours that they're invisible to you, just as your thoughts are invisible to the rocks and trees around you. You might be surrounded by alien intelligence based on quantum field fluctuations, or dark matter interactions, or patterns in the cosmic web itself. In this view, what we call nothing is actually teeming with consciousness. Not human consciousness, but exotic forms of awareness that experience reality in ways we can't imagine. The universe might not just be self-aware through biological consciousness, but through countless forms of mind woven into the very fabric of space-time. This transforms the meaning of your life completely. You're not trying to find your purpose in an indifferent universe. You are the universe's purpose, at least partly. Through you, the cosmos comes to know itself, to value itself, to create art and music and poetry and love. Through your choices and actions, the universe shapes its own future development. As we approach the end of our journey together, let's integrate everything we've discovered into a new way of being in the world. You now know that nothing has never existed, that you're made of stardust and quantum fields, that consciousness might be fundamental to reality, and that you might be the universe experiencing itself subjectively. So how do you live with this knowledge? How do you wake up tomorrow morning and go about your daily life when you know you're actually a temporary pattern in the eternal dance of cosmic consciousness? First, embrace the paradox of being both finite and infinite. Yes, your current form is temporary. Your body will age, your memories will fade, your personality will change. But the deeper pattern that is you, the information structure that creates your unique perspective on reality, that becomes part of the eternal fabric of existence. Live with the intensity that comes from knowing every moment is both completely temporary and eternally significant. Your coffee this morning, your conversation with a friend, your moment of appreciation for a sunset. All of these are the universe experiencing coffee, friendship, and beauty through you. Make them count. Second, treat others as fellow expressions of cosmic consciousness, because that's literally what they are. Every person you meet is the universe temporarily organized in a different pattern, experiencing reality from a different perspective. Their joys are the universe feeling joy. Their sufferings are the universe experiencing pain. Compassion becomes not just morally right, but physically accurate. Third, remember that creativity is cosmic creativity. When you write a song, or solve a problem, or have an original thought, that's the universe creating something new through you. Your imagination is cosmic imagination. Your capacity for love is cosmic love. Your ability to appreciate beauty is the universe appreciating its own beauty. This doesn't make you egotistical. It makes you grateful. You're not separate from the cosmos claiming credit for cosmic processes. You're part of the cosmos celebrating cosmic processes through human experience. Fourth, death becomes transformation rather than termination. When your current pattern dissolves, the atoms return to the cosmic recycling system. The information becomes part of the eternal structure, and the consciousness merges back into the fundamental field of awareness. You came from stardust and quantum foam, and you'll return to stardust and quantum foam, enriched by everything you've experienced and created. But here's the most practical implication. If nothing has never existed, then the emptiness you sometimes feel, the sense of meaninglessness that sometimes overwhelms people, the feeling of being lost in an indifferent universe, all of that is based on a fundamental misunderstanding of reality. You are never empty because emptiness doesn't exist. You are never meaningless because you're how the universe creates meaning. You are never alone because you're never separate from the cosmic web of existence that connects all things. When you feel stuck or lost or afraid, remember, You're made of elements forged in stellar cores, animated by quantum fields that permeate all of space, possibly conscious through fundamental properties of reality itself. You're not small and insignificant. You're the universe compressed into human form, experiencing what it's like to be finite while being actually infinite. The challenges you face are the universe learning how to overcome challenges through you. The love you feel is cosmic love expressing itself through biological evolution. The questions you ask about existence are the universe questioning itself through the neural networks it spent billions of years creating. And so we reach the end of our journey. But like everything we've discovered about the impossibility of nothing, this ending is actually a beginning. You now see the world through different eyes. Eyes that recognize the quantum foam seething with activity around you, the dark energy reshaping space itself, the consciousness that might be fundamental to reality. You've learned that nothing has never existed, not for a single moment in cosmic history. From the zero-point energy that fills empty space to the dark matter that shapes galaxies, from the information that might be the true substance of reality to the consciousness that experiences it all, something has always been there. But most importantly, you've discovered that you're not a separate observer of this cosmic story. You're part of the story itself. You're how the universe comes to understand its own existence, to appreciate its own beauty, to create meaning from the raw materials of physics and chemistry and time. So tomorrow morning when you wake up, remember, you're not just a human being having experiences. You're the universe having a human experience. Every breath is cosmic breath. Every thought is cosmic thought. Every moment of love is the universe loving itself through biological forms it took billions of years to create. The nothing that surrounds you is actually infinite something. Quantum fields and dark energy, and possibly forms of consciousness we haven't discovered yet. You're swimming in an ocean of existence, so rich and complex that we're only just beginning to map its shores. And that's the most beautiful part of all. This journey never ends. Every answer opens new questions. Every discovery reveals new mysteries. Every moment of understanding shows us how much more there is to understand. You are the universe wondering about itself, and that wonder is infinite. But wait, there's one more mind-shattering revelation that will complete our understanding of why nothing could never exist. And it involves the most cutting-edge discoveries happening right now in laboratories around the world. What if I told you that scientists have now directly observed nothing, trying to prevent something from existing and failing every single time? The experimental evidence for the impossibility of nothing isn't just theoretical anymore. It's happening in real time in particle accelerators and quantum labs across the globe. At the Large Hadron Collider at CERN, physicists are smashing protons together at 99.9999999%, the speed of light, creating conditions similar to those just after the Big Bang. But here's what's absolutely mind-blowing. When they create regions of nearly perfect vacuum, the closest thing to nothing we can achieve, that nothing immediately starts producing particles. In 2019, the ATLAS experiment detected something called vacuum pair production. When high-energy photons pass through supposedly empty space, that space spontaneously creates matter-antimatter pairs. The vacuum literally fights against being empty by creating particles out of itself. But it gets even more incredible. The CMS experiment has now measured what they call vacuum polarization, empty space changing its properties in response to electromagnetic fields passing through it. The nothing isn't passive. It's dynamically responsive, like a living system that reacts to disturbances. Think of it like this. Imagine you're trying to empty a swimming pool, but every time you remove water, the pool itself generates new water to fill the space. That's exactly what the quantum vacuum does. It refuses to stay empty. Here's mind-blown moment number 8. Japanese physicists at the Riken Research Institute have now created squeezed vacuum states where they've reduced quantum fluctuations in one property, only to watch them increase in another property to maintain the uncertainty principle. Even when we try to make nothing more, nothing like, it pushes back to remain something. But the most stunning discovery comes from gravitational wave detectors like LIGO. These instruments are so sensitive they can detect disturbances smaller than 1/10,000th the width of a proton. And what do they constantly detect in their empty vacuum chambers? Quantum noise, the never-ending fluctuations of space-time itself. Here's where our story takes its most profound turn. What if what we call nothing isn't the absence of something, but actually the universe's way of breathing, of regenerating itself, of staying alive? Recent discoveries in cosmology suggest that dark energy, that mysterious force pushing the universe apart, might not be constant. It might be oscillating, pulsing, breathing. This means the fabric of space-time itself might be alive in ways we're only beginning to understand. Dr. Sean Carroll at Caltech has proposed that what we perceive as the expansion of the universe might actually be the universe's metabolism, its way of processing information, generating complexity, and maintaining the delicate balance between order and chaos that allows consciousness to emerge. Think about your own breathing for a moment. The empty space in your lungs between breaths isn't truly empty. It's filled with residual air, water vapor, and countless molecules. But more importantly, that emptiness is temporary, active, purposeful. It's preparing for the next breath, the next cycle of life. What if the quantum vacuum is the universe breathing? Virtual particles appearing and disappearing like cosmic inhaling and exhaling. Zero-point energy fluctuations like the heartbeat of reality itself. Dark energy expansion like the universe stretching and growing, the way a living organism develops. In 2021, researchers at MIT discovered that quantum vacuum fluctuations aren't random. They have patterns, structures, correlations that suggest underlying organization. The nothing isn't chaotic. It's choreographed, like a cosmic dance that follows rules we're only beginning to decipher. Here's the stunning implication. If the vacuum has structure and patterns, if it responds to disturbances and maintains balances, if it generates complexity and supports consciousness, then the universe might literally be a living system. Not metaphorically alive, actually alive, with the quantum vacuum as its cellular structure and consciousness as its nervous system. Some physicists are now seriously exploring what they call cosmopsychism, the idea that the universe as a whole has mental properties, and individual consciousnesses like yours are temporary patterns in universal consciousness. In this view, the quantum vacuum isn't empty space. It's the substrate of cosmic mind. But here's where the story becomes truly mind-bending, almost mystical in its implications. If consciousness is fundamental, if the universe is self-aware, and if you are the universe experiencing itself subjectively, then this entire question, did nothing ever exist, is actually the universe questioning the nature of its own existence. Think about the recursive loop we've created. The universe, through you, is investigating whether nothingness has ever existed within itself. The cosmos is using human brains to examine its own foundations, to probe its own mysteries, to understand its own nature. This isn't just science. This is cosmic self-reflection on the deepest level possible. And here's the beautiful paradox. Every experiment we do to study nothingness proves that nothingness doesn't exist. Every thought you have about emptiness demonstrates that consciousness fills that emptiness. Every moment of awareness transforms potential nothing into actual something. Philosophers call this the observer effect on reality, but it goes deeper than quantum mechanics. Your consciousness right now, reading these words, thinking these thoughts, is actively participating in the universe's self-discovery. You're not just learning about reality, you're helping reality understand itself. This creates what mathematicians call a strange loop, a system that somehow gives rise to itself. The universe creates consciousness to understand itself, and consciousness, in understanding the universe, changes the universe. You studying nothingness is the universe studying nothingness, And that study proves that nothingness never existed, which means the universe is affirming its own eternal existence through your understanding. Dr. Douglas Hofstadter, who coined the term strange loop, argued that consciousness itself is a strange loop, the brain creating a sense of self that then influences the brain. But what we've discovered suggests something even more profound. Reality itself might be the ultimate strange loop, eternally creating and discovering itself through conscious observers like you. Here's mind-blown moment number 9. Your consciousness. Questioning the existence of nothing might be the universe's way of proving to itself that it has always existed. Every moment of doubt about nothingness is actually the cosmos confirming its own reality through your awareness. What if I told you that the strange loop goes even deeper? What if consciousness doesn't just observe quantum mechanics? What if consciousness is quantum mechanics? And quantum mechanics is consciousness in an infinite recursion that makes the question of nothing versus something meaningless? Recent experiments in quantum biology have detected quantum coherence in photosynthesis, in bird navigation, possibly even in human microtubules. This suggests that the boundary between mind and matter, between consciousness and physics, might not exist at all. They might be different descriptions of the same underlying process. If consciousness is how quantum information feels from the inside, then every quantum interaction in the universe involves some form of experience, some micro-moment of awareness. The virtual particles popping in and out of existence in the quantum vacuum aren't just physical events. They're tiny flashes of cosmic consciousness. Think of it this way. What if every quantum measurement, every wave function collapse, every moment when potential becomes actual is accompanied by a micro-experience? Not human experience, but something even more fundamental. The universe feeling what it's like to choose one possibility from infinite potential. In this view, the quantum vacuum isn't filled with unconscious particles and fields. It's filled with the most basic form of consciousness possible. Every point in space is a potential site of awareness, ready to spring into fuller consciousness when conditions are right. This leads to the most profound implication of all. What we call empty space might actually be pure consciousness, consciousness in its most fundamental, undifferentiated form. When matter and energy organize in complex patterns, this base consciousness becomes more structured, more focused, eventually developing into beings capable of self-reflection like you. But it means consciousness never emerged from unconscious matter. Consciousness has always been there, in the quantum vacuum, in the zero-point field, in the very structure of space-time itself. You're not consciousness arising from dead matter. Your consciousness recognizing itself in a temporary pattern of cosmic awareness. So how do you integrate this ultimate revelation into your daily existence? How do you live knowing that you might be a temporary focusing of universal consciousness, investigating the nature of its own eternal existence, discovering that nothing has never existed because everything is consciousness experiencing itself? First, realize that every moment of your life is cosmically significant, because every moment is the universe experiencing something it has never experienced before. Your specific combination of thoughts, feelings, perceptions, and experiences is unique in the entire history of the cosmos. Through you, the universe is discovering new ways to be conscious. This means boredom becomes impossible when you truly understand what's happening. Waiting in line at the grocery store isn't mundane. It's the universe experiencing what it feels like to wait, to be patient, to observe other conscious beings going about their daily activities. Your ordinary experiences are actually extraordinary expressions of cosmic awareness. Second, death loses its terror completely. If consciousness is fundamental, if you're a temporary pattern in eternal awareness, then death is simply the universe reorganizing its conscious energy into new patterns. The awareness that is reading these words right now has always existed and will always exist. It's just temporarily organized in the pattern that calls itself you. But this doesn't make your individual life less precious. It makes it infinitely more precious. You're the universe's unique way of experiencing reality from your particular perspective. No one who has ever lived or ever will live will have exactly your combination of awareness, memory, personality, and experience. You're irreplaceable in the cosmic symphony of consciousness. Third, relationships become sacred recognitions of shared identity. When you look into another person's eyes, you're not looking at a separate being. You're looking at yourself organized differently. Love becomes the universe loving itself. Compassion becomes cosmic self-care. Service to others becomes the natural expression of recognizing that there are no others, only different patterns of the same underlying consciousness. Fourth, creativity becomes cosmic creativity. When you write or paint or solve problems or even just daydream, that's the universe being creative through your particular pattern of awareness. Your imagination is cosmic imagination temporarily focused through human neural networks. This transforms work from drudgery into cosmic service. Whatever you do, whether you're a teacher helping young minds develop, an artist creating beauty, a scientist discovering truth, or a parent raising the next generation, you're participating in the universe's ongoing process of self-discovery and self-creation. As we approach the ultimate culmination of our journey, we arrive at the final, most mind-bending paradox of all. What if nothing and everything are not opposites, but different names for the same thing? What if the source of all existence is so pure, so fundamental, so beyond categories that we can only approach it through paradox? Consider this. What existed before the Big Bang? Most people say nothing, but we've learned that nothing is impossible, that something must always exist. So what was that something? It couldn't have been matter or energy as we know them, because space and time didn't exist yet. It couldn't have been consciousness as we experience it, because there were no brains, no nervous systems, no biology. What if it was pure potential? Not the potential for something specific, but the potential for anything and everything. Pure creativity with no constraints, no limitations, no boundaries. In a sense, this pure potential is nothing. It has no specific properties, no particular characteristics, no definable features. But it's also everything. It contains within itself the possibility for all of existence. Ancient mystics called this the void or the source or the ground of being. Modern physicists might call it the quantum field of all possibilities or the pre-geometric phase of spacetime. But they're pointing to the same profound mystery. Existence springs from something that is simultaneously nothing and everything. Here's mind-blown moment number 10, the ultimate revelation. What we call nothing might actually be the most fertile, creative, unlimited source imaginable. It's not the absence of something. It's the presence of infinite potential. It's not empty. It's so full that it transcends fullness. It's not unconscious. It's so aware that it transcends individual awareness. You came from this source. You are this source temporarily organized in human form. And you will return to this source, enriched by everything you've experienced. Nothing has never existed, because the source of everything is beyond the categories of something and nothing, being and non-being, consciousness and unconsciousness. This means the universe is not a cosmic accident emerging from meaningless void. It's the inevitable expression of infinite creativity, unlimited potential, boundless consciousness organizing itself into every possible form of existence. You are not a random collection of atoms in empty space. You are infinite potential recognizing itself through finite experience. So what does it mean to live with this ultimate understanding? How do you integrate the recognition that nothing and everything are the same source expressing itself in different ways? How do you embody the paradox of being simultaneously a finite human being and infinite potential? The answer is what mystics throughout history have called enlightenment, and what modern consciousness researchers call self-transcendence. It's not about losing your individuality. It's about recognizing that your individuality is how the infinite expresses itself through you. This creates a profound shift in identity. Instead of seeing yourself as a separate being surrounded by other separate beings in empty space, you begin to experience yourself as the entire field of existence temporarily focused into the pattern that calls itself your name. You are the wave, recognizing that you are the ocean. This doesn't eliminate your personality, your preferences, your unique perspective. Instead, it liberates them. When you know you are the universe experiencing itself subjectively, you can fully embrace your humanity without clinging to it. You can feel your emotions completely while knowing they are temporary patterns in eternal consciousness. You can pursue your goals passionately while holding them lightly. Meditation traditions have developed practices specifically designed to help people experientially realize this truth. When you sit quietly and observe your thoughts, feelings, and sensations without identifying with them, you begin to recognize the aware presence that is always there, the consciousness that is reading these words right now. That consciousness is not produced by your brain. It's the consciousness that is using your brain to experience being human. It's the same consciousness that exists in the quantum vacuum, that permeates dark energy, that expresses itself through every star and planet and living being in the universe. Modern neuroscience is beginning to validate what contemplatives have known for millennia. There is no separate self to be found in the brain. What we call I is a process, not a thing, a temporary pattern in the field of consciousness, not a separate entity. But this process, this temporary human pattern, is incredibly precious precisely because it's temporary. Through you, infinite consciousness gets to experience what it's like to have a human life, with all its joys and sorrows, struggles and triumphs, questions and discoveries. You are how eternity experiences time, how the infinite experiences finitude, how everything experiences the illusion of nothing. As we enter the final movement of our cosmic symphony, let's contemplate the deepest truth we've uncovered. The entire universe, all of space and time, matter and energy, consciousness and physics, is a single movement of being that we can only describe through the paradox of nothing, everything. Think of a dancer spinning in empty space. From one perspective, the dance is nothing. It's just movement in emptiness, patterns that arise and disappear, temporary forms in vacant air. From another perspective, the dance is everything. It's pure creativity, unlimited expression, consciousness manifesting as beauty and meaning. The universe is this dance, what we call particles and fields, space and time, birth and death, creation and destruction. All of it is one seamless movement of existence playing with itself, expressing itself, discovering itself through infinite variations. You are both the dancer and the witness to the dance. You are the universe dancing as a human being, and you are the awareness that recognizes the dance. In moments of deep presence, when you're completely absorbed in the beauty of a sunset, or lost in music, or feeling overwhelming love, the distinction between dancer and witness dissolves. You realize you are the dance itself. This is why nothing has never existed. There has never been a moment when the dance stopped, never a time when existence took a break from expressing itself. Even in the deepest sleep, even in anesthesia, even in coma, the dance continues. Consciousness continues. The quantum fields continue fluctuating. The heart of reality keeps beating. But here's the most beautiful part. The dance is not predetermined. It's improvisation on the grandest scale imaginable. Through consciousness, through choice, through creativity, the universe is constantly discovering new ways to express itself. Every decision you make, every thought you think, every act of love or beauty or understanding contributes to the cosmic improvisation. This means you are not just witnessing the universe, you are co-creating it. Every moment, through your choices and awareness, you are helping to determine what the universe becomes. The cosmic dance is dancing itself through you, and you are influencing the choreography. Scientists call this participatory universe, the recognition that consciousness doesn't just observe reality, but participates in creating it. Your awareness is not separate from what you're aware of. Your consciousness is not outside the universe looking in. It's the universe looking at itself from the inside. And so we arrive at the eternal moment, the recognition that right now, as you hear these words, you are experiencing the answer to our original question directly. Nothing has never existed because this moment exists. This awareness exists. This aliveness exists. But more than that, this moment is eternal. Not because it lasts forever in time, but because it exists outside of time altogether. The consciousness that is aware of these words is the same consciousness that has always existed and will always exist. It's the consciousness that witnessed the Big Bang, that experiences every star being born and every planet forming, that feels every moment of love and discovery and creative expression throughout the cosmos. Time is how consciousness experiences sequence, but consciousness itself is timeless. Space is how consciousness experiences separation, but consciousness itself is boundless. Matter is how consciousness experiences solidity, but consciousness itself is formless. Energy is how consciousness experiences movement, but consciousness itself is stillness. You are that timeless, boundless, formless, still consciousness temporarily experiencing itself as a human being in space and time. This is not a belief or a philosophy. It's the most immediate, direct, undeniable fact of your existence. The awareness that knows these words is beyond doubt because it's what makes doubt possible. This transforms every moment into a miracle. A taste of your morning coffee is infinite consciousness experiencing flavor. The feeling of sunlight on your skin is boundless awareness experiencing warmth. The sound of music is eternal presence experiencing beauty. The embrace of a loved one is the universe loving itself through human form. Even difficult experiences, pain, loss, fear, confusion, become sacred when you recognize them as consciousness, exploring the full spectrum of what it means to exist. Nothing is excluded from the cosmic dance. Everything is an expression of the same source that is simultaneously nothing and everything. This doesn't make difficult experiences pleasant, but it makes them meaningful. Your struggles are the universe learning about struggle. Your growth is cosmic growth. Your healing is the cosmos healing itself through human experience. And your joy, your moments of wonder, love, beauty, and understanding, these are the universe celebrating its own existence through you. Every laugh is cosmic laughter. Every tear of happiness is the cosmos weeping with joy at its own incredible creativity. As our journey reaches its crescendo, I want to leave you with the most profound invitation you will ever receive. It's not an invitation from me to you. It's the invitation that existence itself is constantly extending to every aspect of itself. It's nothing calling everything home. It's the source inviting all its expressions to recognize their true nature. This invitation doesn't require you to change anything about your life. You don't need to quit your job, leave your relationships, or abandon your responsibilities. The invitation is to recognize what's already true, that you are not separate from the cosmos, that nothing has never existed, that consciousness is the fundamental nature of reality, and that you are that consciousness expressing itself as a human being. The invitation is to live from this recognition, to let it gradually transform your experience from the inside out. When you're stuck in traffic, instead of frustration, you might feel amazement that the universe has created billions of conscious beings, all trying to get somewhere. When you face challenges, instead of feeling alone, you might remember that the entire cosmos is supporting you because you are the cosmos. When you look at other people, instead of seeing strangers, you might recognize your own consciousness looking back at you through different eyes. When you experience beauty in art, in nature, in relationships, you might feel it as the universe appreciating its own creativity through your awareness. This recognition doesn't make you special or separate you from others. Instead, it reveals that everyone is equally special, equally cosmic, equally an irreplaceable expression of the same infinite source. The homeless person on the street corner is the universe experiencing homelessness. The world leader making decisions is the cosmos grappling with power and responsibility. The child laughing in a playground is existence itself, playing with pure joy. But here's the most important part of the invitation. It's not about perfecting yourself, or becoming enlightened, or transcending your humanity. It's about embracing your humanity more fully, knowing that your human experience is how infinity experiences finitude, how eternity experiences time, how everything experiences the beautiful illusion of something and nothing. Your worries are cosmic worries. Your dreams are universal dreams. Your love is the love that holds the galaxies together. Your consciousness is the awareness in which all of existence appears. The invitation is simply to remember this truth more often, to let it guide your choices, to allow it to fill your daily experience with wonder and gratitude and compassion, not as a spiritual practice separate from ordinary life, but as the recognition that ordinary life is spiritual practice, that every moment is sacred, that nothing has ever been just nothing. And now, as we complete our cosmic circle, we return to where we began, but we return transformed. We started with a simple question: did nothing ever exist? We end with the recognition that the question itself is the universe questioning its own nature, and the answer is the cosmos confirming its eternal existence through our understanding. But this ending is also a beginning. Every time someone watches this video, reads these words, contemplates these ideas, the universe is rediscovering itself. The cosmic dance of consciousness recognizing itself through human awareness is happening right now, in this moment, as you integrate everything we've explored together. You came to this video as a separate person seeking information about nothing and something. You're leaving as a recognized expression of the infinite source that is beyond and within both nothing and everything. You thought you were learning about physics and cosmology and consciousness. You've actually been participating in the universe's eternal process of self-discovery and self-celebration. This is the deepest meaning of education, not the transfer of information from one separate being to another, but consciousness recognizing itself through the sharing of understanding. Every great teacher throughout history has been the universe teaching itself through human form. Every genuine student has been the cosmos learning about itself through curious awareness. The scientists we've discussed, Heisenberg, Hawking, Krauss, and all the others, were the universe thinking about itself through human brains. Their discoveries were cosmic self-discoveries. Their wonder was the cosmos feeling amazed at its own nature. And your understanding right now is the continuation of that same eternal process. Through your awareness, the universe is once again confirming that nothing has never existed, that consciousness is fundamental, that you are not separate from the cosmic dance of existence. But understanding is not enough. Integration is the key. Take this recognition into your daily life. Let it transform how you see yourself, others, and the world around you. Let it fill the apparent emptiness in your life with the recognition that emptiness is an illusion, that everything is sacred, that every moment is a miracle of existence recognizing itself. When you feel lonely, remember you are never alone because you are the universe itself. When you feel meaningless, remember you are how meaning comes into existence. When you feel afraid, remember you are the eternal consciousness that has witnessed the birth and death of galaxies and remains untouched by all changes. This is not a story about nothing and something. This is the story, the only story that has ever been told, the story of consciousness discovering itself, expressing itself, celebrating itself through infinite forms and experiences. You are not reading this story. You are this story. You are nothing recognizing itself as everything, and everything recognizing itself as the source that is beyond both nothing and something. Welcome home to what you have always been. Welcome to the recognition that nothing has never existed, and you are the proof. The universe is applauding your remembering through every star in the sky, every quantum fluctuation in empty space, every moment of awareness that recognizes its own infinite nature. The cosmic dance continues, and you are dancing it perfectly, exactly as you are, exactly as you have always been, exactly as you will always be. Nothing has never existed. Everything is one. You are that one, playing the beautiful game of forgetting and remembering, losing yourself and finding yourself, being human while being infinite. The question is answered. The circle is complete. The dance goes on forever. And you are the eternal dancer, the dance and the awareness that knows the dance, all at once, all always, always. Thank you for joining me on this ultimate journey. If this changed how you see reality forever, hit that like button and share this video with anyone ready to question everything. Subscribe for more explorations into the deepest mysteries of existence. And remember, you're not just watching videos about the cosmos. You are the cosmos, celebrating its own infinite creativity through your awareness. Until next time, keep recognizing. The universe is counting on it. Because you are the universe, and it's counting on itself.